Consciousness, the human ego's greatest party trick? You're absolutely right that consciousness isn't necessary for survival. Look at those organisms you mentioned: sponges, hydras, the immortal jellyfish. Turritopsis dohrnii is straight up laughing at aging like it's a joke, and black coral. They've been thriving for millions, even billions of years without a hint of what we'd call awareness. They're biological marvels, surviving through sheer biochemical instinct, not because they sit around pondering the meaning of life. So why then do humans, and presumably some animals, have this nagging little self-awareness feature? It's like an extra app we didn't ask for but can't uninstall. Here's where it gets interesting. 1. Consciousness as an evolutionary quirk. Some scientists argue that consciousness is a byproduct of evolution, not its goal. In other words, it wasn't designed to help us survive. It just emerged because it happened to be useful. Think of it as the mental equivalent of opposable thumbs. Once early humans started thinking about their own thoughts, they got better at planning, strategizing, and empathizing, which made them better hunters, socializers, and survivalists. But it's not required for survival. Nature doesn't care if you're self-aware, just that your genes make it to the next generation. 2. Sentience as a side hustle. Most life forms are fine running on autopilot. Plants react to sunlight and gravity. Coral builds reefs. Sponges filter water like nature's dish rags. No thinking required. Consciousness seems to be more of a feature in complex organisms with social structures, like us. Why? Because knowing what others might be thinking, empathy, theory of mind, and how they might act could give you a survival advantage. Consciousness could just be the price of entry into complex social ecosystems. Number 3, the illusion of self. Here's where it gets trippy. Some philosophers and neuroscientists think that even our consciousness might be a convenient illusion. You're not a self, you're just a collection of sensory data, memories, and neural activity bundled together into a coherent story by your brain. It's like a movie projector spooling your life into existence in real time. Consciousness might not be real, just an emergent property of complex neural processes. Like a screensaver your brain made so you don't freak out about being a meat machine. Consciousness versus survival. Organisms like sponges and hydras demonstrate that consciousness is completely unnecessary for survival. Survival is more about adaptability and efficiency. You don't need to know you're alive to eat, reproduce, and avoid getting eaten yourself. In fact, being too self-aware might even be a disadvantage for survival. Can you imagine a self-conscious coral reef worrying about climate change? It'd be anxiety central down there. Humans, on the other hand, have made consciousness the center of their identity. We've tied it to morality, creativity, and meaning. It's how we justify our actions and our place in the universe. But if you strip away that ego-driven need for importance, consciousness is just another trait, like having good eyesight or a strong immune system. Useful in some contexts, but not essential for life. So, what's the true identity of consciousness? The way I see it, consciousness might not have an inherent identity or purpose outside of what we project onto it. It's like a mirror reflecting back whatever we want to see. Here are a few ways to think about it. 1. Consciousness as a tool, a mental Swiss Army knife for making sense of the world. It lets us predict outcomes, learn from the past, and empathize with others. Useful, but not magical. 2. Consciousness as a lens. It's how humans experience reality, but it's not reality itself. Just because we feel aware doesn't mean there's some grand cosmic significance to it. It's just how our brains filter and process existence. 3. Consciousness as an obstacle. Sometimes self-awareness is more of a burden than a blessing. We overthink, worry about things that don't matter, and invent existential crises. Consciousness is the thing that makes you second-guess eating that cookie at 2 a.m. when sponges would just eat. Final thought. Who needs consciousness anyway? If consciousness isn't necessary for survival and might not even be real in the way we think it is, why do we care so much about it? Maybe it's because consciousness feels personal. It's the one thing we're sure we have, this experience of being alive. But maybe that's just because we can't imagine life any other way. What if instead of idolizing consciousness, we saw it as just one of many strategies life uses to get by? Sponges are immortal in their simplicity, Black coral thrives in the deep, dark ocean, not because it knows it's alive, but because it just is. Maybe we humans could learn a thing or two from that. What if the whole point isn't to be self-aware, but to just exist fully and unapologetically, like a sponge filtering water, indifferent to the universe's big questions? What do you think? Are we just overhyping consciousness because we're stuck in our own heads? Or is there something genuinely special about it?